Hello everyone. So let's continue the video, and this in this video I'll explain the exercise 2 of my experiment 2. So yeah, the question says a drive has multiple disks. A hard drive contain many disks, and a floppy drive contain one disk. So a drive will make a class named as drive which has multiple disks. So this is yeah this is so we'll make a drive class, okay, that has multiple disks. So we use the one to many relationship here, like one to many. Asterisk represent the many, like it can be of different type, like simply one or zero to like zero one, zero to one, zero to many, one to one, or one to many, or any exact number we can also represent here. So my question was, a drive has multiple disks, then a hard drive contain many disks. A hard drive, then we can imagine like a there is a drive which is a parent class, then it is containing a child class named as hard drive, like it is a part of it. No, we can simply imagine a floppy similarly as floppy drive also. So these are the two child classes of the drive class. That's why we represented a generalization relationship between the floppy drive and the hard drive. Okay, then our question is, disk no from here, a hard drive contain many disks, like one hard drive contain many disks, like one to many, as in question, like one hard drive contain many disks. This, okay, this is the asterisk symbol we use. Then many disk, and a floppy drive contain one disk, and a floppy drive contain one disk. This is one is represented for disk, not for this file system. Okay, a floppy drive contain one disk, like this is one to one relation. I can like this. Okay, one. Then second part is, a disk is divided into tracks which are in turn subdivided into sectors. Like a disk, first it is divided into tracks, then it is subdivided to sectors. Then a disk which is divided to many of the tracks, and similarly a tracks which are subdivided to sectors. That's why I use the one to many relation between these all. Okay, between disk to tracks, then tracks are subdivided to sectors. Then a file system, this is another class we have to make, like a file system name named as file system. A file system may use multiple disks. A file system, this one, a file system may use multiple disks. I'll explain why I had not wrote like this one to many relation, and I'll get that. First I'll explain this. A disk is divided, yeah, this was explained. A file system may use multiple disks. Get the point here. A file system is there which is using the multiple disks. Similarly, a disk may be partitioned across the file systems. This is from this two lines only, I think we can understand like why we wrote the one to many relation, because a file system, uh, the question was, a file system may use multiple disks. Similarly, a disk may be partitioned. Okay, similarly, one or more disks can be partitioned over the file system. Same, a file system may use one or multiple disks. So that's why we use the one to many relation there. Then similarly, a disk may contain many files. A disk may contain many files. So yeah, we have to make another class named as files, because from here, similarly a disk may contain many files, and a file may be partitioned across many disks. Same as the before part we did, no, one to many relation. That's why we use the one to many relation from here, from files to disk, and similarly from disk to files. One to many relation, one or more relation. Then maybe partition, yeah, this is done. Now a file system consists of many files. A file system, the class, consists of many files. A file system consists of many files. That's why we use the one to many relationship, one to many relationship. Then a file system consists of many files, yeah. Now each file, the class, the file, the each file has owner, permission for reading and writing, date last modified, size, and checksum. These are the attributes. I told you that there is a class which has three parts or three sections in it. Like first one is called the class name, then middle one we have to declare the attributes here with the data type, return type, sorry, with the return type. And third section consists of the operations which are going to performed while we are executing the class. Like simply we studied in the object oriented concept, like what is a class and what are this plus symbol represented a public nature, like public, private, or we have to consider it as protected, like plus, minus, and hash. So yeah, so our file which is the class, the file class has owner. First attribute is of owner. We can consider the owner like any name of some person. That's why I consider the string return type of the owner. Then permissions, for permission for what, for reading and writing, and date last modified also. So permissions which can contain all those three. So I also declared it as a string return type. Then the date last modified we can take as the date return type. Then the size can be of like integer, float, or double we can consider. So I simply considered the int return type. Then the checksum, then it can be of like float, double, or any, so I considered it as a double. Then operations, from here the third part of the class begins, the operation that apply to files. File is our class which include the create, copy, delete, rename, compress, uncompress, and compare. These are the operations. Okay, these are the operations which we have to execute, or which we have to make in the file class as defined in the question. So yeah, files may be data files, or now here the type of the files are defined. So we can get an idea, like there is a parent class called file, and it has the child class named as directory files or the data files. So we have to represent this as a generalization relationship. It can be of data files and it is directory files, these two. Okay, then data files. Then yeah, a directory a directory hierarchically organizes group of related file. Directories may be recursively nested to an arbitrary depth. Okay, each file within a directory can be uniquely identified by its file name. So yeah, each file within a directory is our child class, which can be uniquely identified by its file name. So it is clearly understandable, like it is an attribute, okay, in our directory file, the file name. And yeah, we you can see, like I wrote the plus symbol, yeah, the file name I wrote it as a plus symbol. So I want to make it as public, the file name. Then each file, yeah, this is completed. Then a file may correspond to many directory file named pairs, such as through Unix links. So a file may correspond to many directory files. So the file may correspond. So that's why I use the aggregation relationship here through the Unix links. So aggregation, like a class has we can, in the class diagram there are some relationships also, like the association, the dependency, aggregation, and so on. So I use the aggregation relation between these files and directory files through Unix link. So uh, what exactly it is saying, that it may correspond, okay, the each file within a directory can be sorry, from here, a file may correspond to many directory file name pairs such as through Unix link. It is not yeah, it is not mandatory, like it is always mm, like aggregation basically represent the has a relationship, okay, like this is the container class, okay, and this is the contained class, like that we can understand the aggregation relationship. Like like it does not have a strong dependency on the life cycle of the container class, okay, that's why we use the Unix link and the through the Unix link, and we use the aggregation relationship here. So a data file may be an ASCII file or binary file. So again, a data file is a parent class which may be of two types, like ASCII file or binary file. So that's why we use the generalization relation between the data files and ASCII file type of file and the binary file. And these are the operations which we have to perform while executing the this class. And yeah, this was in the second exercise. In the next video I'll explain my experiment number 3. So thank you for watching.